This is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new vehicle that was added in the alpha version 0.15 update. It is the Autobello Piccolina, or as I've been calling it recently, the Pickle. As you can see, we have quite a few options available to us. We actually have 12 in total, but we're going to be starting off with the 110, which is the base model with a 1,100cc engine, or as I would just say, a 1.1 liter engine. So how much power does that engine make? 34 brake horsepower. That's it. This car only has 34 horsepower. Thankfully, though, it's also one of the lightest vehicles I've ever seen at 1,620 pounds, so it's at least able to move even with only 34 horsepower. Now, before we drive it, though, here is a quick look at the exterior of this vehicle. And when I look at this thing, it reminds me a lot of a Fiat 600, but then it also has some small details that make me think of a Volkswagen Beetle. For example, the way the rear fender sits on the vehicle is a lot like a Volkswagen Beetle, and then the rear lights and the rear exhaust are all very similar to the Beetle. But the overall shape of the vehicle looks a lot more like a Fiat 600, except for the rear, where it's a little bit more curved than you would see in a Fiat 600 normally, so it reminds me more of a Beetle. Anyways, we're gonna drive this thing around a little bit, crash it, and then we'll be taking a look at the interior of the vehicle. So how does the vehicle feel in its home country on the roads it was made for? It actually feels really good. I have no problem driving through here with this vehicle, although you'll notice I do take up both sides of the road all the time because there's no traffic. I have no reason not to take up both sides of the road. But if this is actual roads where you had two-way traffic, well, yeah, this thing would really feel at home. So here's going to be the first impact, about 45 miles per hour, and watch the door here. As you crash, the door opens up. And it opens up in a very funny way because this car has the suicide doors from the factory, which is very rare to see in more modern cars. Although I have read that Lincoln's going to bring them back on a special edition of the Continental, and I think that's really cool because the Lincoln Continental and suicide doors go together great, and I have no steering at all right here. We're just going to slam into that because there's nowhere else to go, and now we're on fire. Can we back out of this? No, we are stuck. So my only option here is to take a look at the damage, and then we will be resetting the car. And now we can take a look at the interior of the vehicle. And the interior is pretty bare, but that's exactly what you would expect to see in a cheap economy car from the 1950s. We basically have one dial to look at. It has some sub-dials to it, though. So it tells you how fast you're going, how many kilometers you've traveled, your gasoline, and your oil information, and that's all there is. No lights or anything to tell you if your engine's failing. They didn't have that in the 1950s. That's what you had. You do have lights, though, when you turn on the blinkers left and right. You see it has a stalk that moves left and right when you turn them on and off. You can also turn on the headlights, which does brighten up the gauge. You also got high beams, and I assume those would be controlled with those little levers right there. You also have a hole for the key, which is like right in the middle of the vehicle. I thought that was kind of interesting, and I guess there's a little cubby hole right there, which would be in place of a glove box because there's no glove box here. And then over on the door, we have a bunch of things. So first off, we have this, which is used to wind up and down the window. Some kids might not know windy windows. Yeah, you don't have buttons. You wind it manually. And then you have this right here, and this one's a little less commonly known. I always just call them the smoking window because they're these little windows that they'll pop out a little bit, and then it's just another way to get air into the car. And this thing right here, at first I thought maybe this is used to adjust the mirror, but I actually think it's used to open the door, because if you look at the position of that thing, it is right here. It lines up pretty much perfectly with the door handle, so it makes sense that it's using like the same release mechanism that the outside of the door is using. And also, it wouldn't make sense to have it on this side of the car because it doesn't have a mirror on this side, so I assume it has to be used for opening the doors because it does have a door on that side. And speaking of the doors, yep, as you saw, this thing has those suicide doors, and I wish there was a way to unlock the car when you try to open up the door, because otherwise you basically have to rip them open. But it looks so cool seeing the door open like that. It's very, very unusual. It used to be a little bit more common back in the day, but even then it wasn't like a super common thing. So back in the inside, you can take a look at the rear behind us, and I like and dislike this simultaneously. Like, it's a really interesting design fact that you can see the wheel well right here. But I also dislike it because I'm sure there are people who have burned themselves on that getting into a really hot car. That thing could get super hot because just a piece of metal that could be sitting in the sun in a car that's well over 100 degrees, you're going to accidentally just scar yourself possibly. It's dangerous. Although this whole car is dangerous. It's not like modern cars where you get in a crash, you're going to be okay. This is a tiny car, and if you get in a crash, you're probably going to get injured. Anyways, why don't we try driving it around from the interior a little bit with the door fling it open. I don't do too much interior driving. One thing you can do that's kind of fun though is when you have the door like this, you can scrape it off like that. It actually managed to stay attached somehow. I thought for sure that would make the door fall off, but I don't think it's gonna ever come closed again after that impact. And so far, this thing's pretty nice to drive around in the inside. It's so small, you don't really have to worry about the sides. Like for some reason in video games for me, whenever I drive a car from this kind of camera angle, I always underestimate the width of the car and clip things as I get too close to them. So how about we have a quick crash right here, get a little bit of slow-mo from the inside. And that steering wheel, you're gonna smash right into it. You don't got no airbag. Where's it gonna be? And also, we got the wheel coming in here, and that's bad. That's gonna smash into your leg and probably break your leg right there. Somehow this thing is still driving though, so I'm gonna keep going a few more feet. I'm gonna try to get it off this hill. I don't know how tall this is because I don't know this map too well. That's a little bit of a fall. And now we are unfortunately upside down, so... nope, no more driving's gonna be happening. Here is a look at the damage from the outside. Looks kind of sad that we lost one of the lights, doesn't it? Anyways, we'll go ahead and reset it. And I'm gonna spawn up another version of the vehicle, but I'm only spawning this up to show you the different interior options, because some of them have a much nicer steering wheel and gauge setup. So this is one of them. And you can see the steering wheel itself just looks 100 times nicer. And same goes for the gauges, but the information on the gauges is all pretty much the same. So they both tell you the oil temperature, how much fuel you have, how fast you're going, and how many kilometers you've traveled. But this one has a tachometer, where the other one, it didn't have a tachometer, but it did have something to tell you when to shift. So if you look at the gauge here, there's some Roman numerals on it, 1, 2, and 3. The idea is when you hit 1, that's when you shift. So you hit 1, you shift in a second, and then when you hit 2, you shift into 3rd, and then when you hit 3, you shift into 4th, and so on. Which is gonna be hard to show off in this area because it's so tight, but you can at least see 1 into 2, and then 2 into 3, and then do we have enough straightaway for 3 into 4? No, we do not. We are gonna crash. Just barely stopped in time. But that's the idea behind this. To me, a tachometer is much simpler, but that could just be because I'm used to seeing tachometers, and this is something I've never seen before. But this is something that's also present in the Fiat that I guessed that this car was based off of. So it makes a lot of sense as why it would be in the vehicle itself. And there you go, there would be the upshift. Yeah, we basically had to slam into the wall just to do the upshift, but we managed to do it. And now we are just tumbling down the hill and landing right here by some trees. Taking a look at the damage before we reset this thing. And it looks different than last time, even though it was pretty much the same crash angle, it seemed like. So we'll bring it back up, and we no longer need the car on our left, so we'll go ahead and remove the other vehicles. And now we're going to take a look at the next vehicle in the list, which is the 110A. And the description here, identical. The performance stats on the vehicles, basically identical. Like, you would not be able to tell the difference between these two vehicles if you drove them back to back based on those stats. So anyways, let's get the 110A. The biggest change is the doors. The doors here are just regular doors. The suicide doors are gone, so that to me is a huge downgrade. The hood, on the other hand, it's different, and I think it's an improvement. I kind of like the little stripe going down it. You also have a different color on the interior than we've seen before, so I'll give you guys a small look at this. I kind of like this interior color a little bit better. I think it just matches with the outside of the vehicle more than the other one did. The other one was just too much. This one, though, the green and the black, I like the way that looks together. And then it also has different wheels on it, but they're not significantly different than the ones we had on the previous vehicle. So let's go ahead and move to the 110B. And this one has a different description. The 110 and the 110A have the same description, but this one says it's a later base model with a 1,100cc engine and stiffer front sway bars. So in addition to the sway bar changes, we also have a bunch of pieces removed. So the front bumper, gone. The rear bumper, gone. The hood, well, it's still there, but it's a different one, and it doesn't have the stripe, unfortunately, so the stripe is gone. But this is not the hood we saw in the first vehicle. This is a third different hood. Also, there is usually some chrome going along this area of the car. That is gone as well, but there's still some chrome on the windows themselves. That is not easily removed, though, because I think it's kind of built into the glass, so it wouldn't make sense to have it removable. And then it also has, again, ever so slightly different wheels. These ones, though, you really can't see the difference, but you feel it. The other one was using bias ply tires. This one has radial tires on it, and it does feel a little bit better as you drive it around, so we'll do just that. And I think the improved tires and the improved sway bars do make it a bit faster feeling, even though it has the same exact engine setup. I think it takes about a second less to get up to 60 miles per hour, which sounds like a lot, but it's really only like 20 seconds to 19 seconds, which doesn't sound like nearly as much when you put it like that. But yeah, driving it around right here, it feels a little bit better. It's not a huge difference or nothing, but just a little bit nicer to drive. But like every vehicle, we will eventually wreck it. I just gotta admire it's driving a little bit longer and find a nice long straightaway to get up to speed. That's really what I'm looking for here, is a good straightaway, and I think this is it. We can get up to about, well, maybe not. That we would get up to about 40 miles per hour, and we didn't. So let's keep looking for a straightaway. That could have been it. That could have definitely been. Oh, but look at this straightaway. This is what I'm talking about here. We can get up to like 50 maybe even before they crash. All right, 45, not bad at all. And then slam into the side of the vehicle. They haven't done anything like that. Pops up onto its wheels, and I think it should still be drivable. Yeah, the suspension is definitely messed up some, and we got a flat tire. Not the easiest thing to control at the moment, but we can move. Barely. I'm just flying all over the place right here. I hit the other wall, going about 30 miles per hour. That's enough. Although by the time we hit the wall, that was probably about 15 miles per hour. It didn't do much damage at all. This will do some damage, though. I know I've done that before, but that's a good space to jump off a car. And it's up onto its wheels again. And I can't really steer to the right at all. I'm trying to go right, and it just doesn't. Try it one more time. Let's see. Full to the right. This isn't working. Oh, the front end lifts up even. That's even worse. All right, that's going to be the end for this one. I'll give you guys a quick look at the damage, although I'll try to pull it off of the thing so you can see it better. There we go. So there's the damage on that side. This side's pretty much intact, and then the back of that side, and then we can go ahead and reset it. And we can go ahead and take a look at the next car on the list, which is going to be the 130, which is the premium model with a 1,300cc engine, front disc brakes, and nicer hubcaps. So it is 200 cc's bigger than the other one, which is 0.2 liters. But it gives it an extra 10 horsepower, all the way up to 44 brake horsepower, which makes the 0 to 60 about 5 seconds faster. So that's a pretty good jump, because this one is not really related to the 110B and the 110A. It's more related to the 110, because you also see there's a 110A and then a 130A and then a 110B and a 130B. So it's kind of like they're all the same styles, but then they have different engine options and suspension options to go with it sometimes. So compared to the 110, this one has some different bumpers on it. And these bumpers to me are a little bit more like heavy duty looking, because they got that extra bit on them that makes them look like they could withstand some more bumps than the other ones. And then, as I said, the front brakes and the engine. And this one, once again, has the striped hood, which, yeah, I think that's my favorite hood. I really like that stripe. It just looks good. And then it specifically mentions the improved hubcap. So what's the difference? These ones, if you look closely, they don't have a logo on it. The other ones have a logo on them. So let me just grab one real quick and just show you what the logo ones look like. I'm pretty sure any of these ones would work, but let's go with that one. Okay, it's inside my car. That's fine. So these ones have a logo. Kind of odd to me that the ones without the logo are considered the fancier ones. You'd think the ones with the logo would be fancier, but they're not. All right, get this guy out of here, and let's try out the faster version of the vehicle with its extra 10 horsepower. To be honest, you do feel it. Like normally 10 horsepower, you wouldn't think you'd feel it, but it's all about percentages. If you have a 200 horsepower car and you increase the horsepower by 10, that's a 5% increase. But with this thing going from 33 to 43, that's a 30% increase. That's why you can feel it, because the percentage difference is so high. So I think you got a good idea of how much faster this thing is. Now let's find a good place to wreck it. And jumping off a cliff is always a good way to wreck a vehicle. Although this one might live. I just have a little bit of fender damage. It looks like, oh, now we're rolling. There's probably some damage to the suspension as well. And I lost one of my hubcaps. I saw it popped off. Yeah, the car is pulling to the side kind of harshly. We can still drive it though. Look for some more stuff to crash into. How about we just try to climb a mountain with this thing? Yeah, that'll work. How about try to fall down the mountain now? That'll be even better, I would think. Try to get through these trees the best that I can. There's no way I'm going to control this. We're out of control and we're flying through the air. I'm at the mercy of gravity here. Oh, that's kind of weird. It looks almost convertible-ish with the roof being crushed down that much. Like just a little bit, you know? And, oh, well, now we're hitting more trees, crushing the roof down even more. Somehow it's still running, though. Probably going to be really badly, but it is running. And we're still falling, so it might land up on its wheels. Or it might stop right here. No, we're still going. Getting up some speed. Come on, roll onto your wheels, car. Come on. Oh, almost have it. Not quite. I'm going to give it a little bit of assistance, though, because I want to see this thing make it to the road. So, onto your wheels you go, and can you drive? Yeah, it can drive. How's the steering, though? Oh, steering is terrible. Steering is terrible. There was nothing I could do to avoid that. Like, steering is just, I tell you, hey, can you go in this general direction? And it says, I'll think about it. And then it doesn't. It thinks about it, it makes you think it might do it, and then it just goes the completely wrong direction. We can make progress slowly by going back and forth, though. And there's the road. We're through. Nope, we're not, because I couldn't go to the right, because the car didn't want to steer. And not only does it not want to steer, it also doesn't want to back up, it seems like. I saw it move for a second, now it's not. So we're just going to make it, you know what, just get over onto the road. Mostly so I can see the damage. That's the main reason. I want to see the damage on this thing, because it's the most beat up it's been. Yeah, that's a good bit of damage. But it still drove. Not very well. Like, I'm trying to steer here, it doesn't do much at all. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the next version we're going to be driving, which is the police version. And on this one it says it's a model for the National Police of Italy with a 1,300cc engine. And it's pretty much just a lightly modified version of the vehicle I was just driving, except it's stuck in the guardrail. That's not good, so we'll move it out of there. And we can go ahead and turn on the sirens on this thing. And the siren sound is different than the ones that are already in the game, so I'll let you listen to this for a while. You know what else? I really like the blue lights as they go around in circles, and I bet it would look really cool if we tried those out at nighttime. So let's real quickly make this nighttime, and yeah, that looks nice. I really like the way you can see the lights going off everything like that. Let's turn on the headlights too to be a little more realistic, and that's what it looked like when the cops are coming after you in Italy in the 1950s and 1960s, I guess. So that's enough of that. We can go ahead and make it bright again. And then we can move on to the next version of the vehicle, which is going to be the 130A. And I think of the 130A as an improved 130, although it has the wrong doors again. If you notice, the 130 actually had the cool doors. This one does not, but it has the same powerful engine and small upgraded suspension, so that's good. It also has the fancier gauges I was talking about earlier, which to me is a really nice improvement. I like those gauges in that steering wheel. Those gauges, though, they almost look aftermarket. I don't know why, but they just look ever so slightly aftermarket. But as far as I can tell, they're supposed to be production gauges. So, back to the outside of the vehicle we go. And I think the only other change on this thing is it has real wheels. No hubcaps on this one. This one actually just has wheels. Not very pretty, actually. I honestly like the way the hubcaps look better. But, you know what? I'm glad that they at least have the option to have not hubcap wheels. We could drive up and down this hill a little bit. It'd be nice if we had the police chasing us, maybe, but I don't know. Do we have enough road for that? Yeah, I guess we do. Why not? Let's tell the police to chase me, and of course, the police is going to be another one of the pickles. We'll spawn him up right next to me. Hopefully, he's not inside the guardrail. Not inside the guardrail, but he's a little bit stuck, so I'll just slap him right there. And then let's go ahead and go back to my vehicle, and we're going to tell the AI to go ahead and try and catch me. We have the same exact performance, basically, so as long as I drive decently, they shouldn't be able to catch me. And also, if they don't have their sirens on, I don't have to stop. It's the law. Although I do wonder, how far behind are they? Oh, I got some good distance on them. And then I go and wreck into a wall. Well, there goes my good distance on them, I guess. Although I still don't hear them. Are they really that far behind me? Yeah, they're still quite a bit behind me. I really need to stop looking behind me at them chasing me. Oh no, they just mashed me. Somehow I got out of that though. You know what though? I can look behind me and remain in control. There's no reason I can't. Look, there they are behind me. I am in full control. Ooh, they crashed. Yeah, they crashed too. I can't do that for some reason. It doesn't help that the car's driving super crooked already. Trying to go to them, but yeah, it's driving even worse after that next impact. I'm gonna try to tear their door off. That's my new goal right here. I'm gonna get your door and got it. right, now let's try to do their other door too. I am destroyer of doors. This is why they don't use suicide doors, actually. Criminals kept destroying the doors on police cars, and the police got so annoyed, they said, we don't want these anymore. And then demand went down for the suicide doors, and then nobody had suicide doors, and it was a sad, sad day. And oh goodness, that was weird. Like, oh, I guess we hit that door. I thought like we popped the tire or something, or popped the suspension, but I think we just got stuck on the door, unfortunately. And we cannot move at this point in time, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch areas on the map. Let's just go to an area I don't think I've been. That would be the one on the bottom left. I don't think I've been there before, really. And the next pickle we're gonna be taking a look at is gonna be the 130B, which is the later premium model with a 1,300cc engine, front disc brakes, sport front sway bar, wider fenders, and special staggered alloy wheels. Yeah, this car is so fancy. It says staggered wheel setup. That means the tires in the back are bigger than the ones in the front. It's not like a huge difference when you look at the tires, but if you actually look at the stats, yeah, those ones in the front are ever so slightly thinner. You'll also notice the front bumper on that is different than the ones we've seen before. And you can see the fenders themselves are also ever so slightly wider. And the best way to show you that is to do a comparison. So I'm going to spawn up a 130A right next to this one and watch this. So you get the camera right above the vehicle like this. You do the same for this one, and then you go back and forth between them. You see, if you stare at the fender right here, it gets a little bit wider on one of the cars versus the other one. And same for the rear. So like this is right on the edge of the fender. You go to this car and you see it's actually a little bit inside of the fender. But it's a very, very small difference that you really have to look for to actually see. But the neat thing about this car also, with it being a later model, it has the dual carb setup, which gives it a blistering, absolutely blistering 61 horsepower, which makes the car's performance feel adequate by modern standards. Like, this is enough to be driving on the streets without feeling like you're terribly, terribly slow and you're just holding up traffic. But if you have a little hill like this, it can still slow you down. I'm flooring it right here, and we're kind of stuck in the 60s. So let's go ahead and damage this up. We'll just slide into the barrier all gracefully right there. We lost both of the wheels. I guess I just hit it in a really awkward way, but yeah, both the wheels are gone. The rear flap's kind of funny. It's bouncing up and down. But anyways, there's a look at the damage before we reset it. And I want to drive this thing around a little bit more because I honestly did not expect that single impact to immobilize the car. I thought it would just damage the suspension, not take off half of my wheels. So I see some trees over here. Let's hit the trees. Ooh, that really messed up the suspension. I don't even know if I hit the tree. I think I just kind of bounced off the curb mostly and really just jacked up that tire. I can still control the vehicle though, so that's what's important, although the steering is definitely worse. How about we slam into that wall a little bit? It's hard to get up to speed right now. It just can't put the power down well. It's too busy sliding all over the place. Come on, and impact! Oh no, I've done it to both tires. They're both popped. Oh, what have I done? This is terrible. Although it actually kind of works like a drift car now. It's just, it wants to slide, but you almost control it even though there's so much weight on the rear, which is actually surprising, although I can't go this way. This is a dead end. Good thing we got such a small, nimble car. We can sneak around. All right, this thing is not pleasant to drive, though. Like, it can kind of slide when it wants to, but it's not consistent. So I'm going to just try to keep bouncing it into things, but it does not want to go fast enough to really crash. It's only going like 20 miles per hour. I think this one's bad luck. So tell you what, we're just going to go to the next one, which is going to be the 150 Corso, which is the special factory build sold to private race teams. And this one, this is where things start to get a little crazy. 90 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it really feels like it's pushing too much power in a car this small. So in addition to the engine upgrade though, we also have a special race-tuned suspension, and this thing actually sits a little bit lower than the one over there. You can see that one. There is a good bit of clearance between the wheels and the wheel well, and this one though, very little clearance. I said that backwards. There's the very little clearance, and then over there, there's a lot of clearance. And then it also has a different front bumper, and you can see here, it actually has some cooling going on in the front, where all the other ones, they didn't have any cooling there. There's just nothing there. Everything was just cooled in the rear, and that big old hatch right there kind of helped a lot with the cooling, I would assume. Back to the red car, though. So in addition to that, rear bumper. It's gone. We just have that single piece, and by rear bumper, of course, I mean the chrome piece right there. We also have different taillights on this one. It's not a huge difference. They just kind of remove like the extra chrome on them, you see. So this one's just a big piece of plastic, but these ones have fancy chrome on them. So that probably saves like a whole pound. What really saves weight though is the inside of this thing. If you look on the inside, the rear seats have been stripped out, You just have bare metal back there, and you can see where the battery of the car is. Kind of interesting that the battery is in between the driver's seat and the rear seat, basically. That's a very unusual place for a battery, but for a rear engine car, maybe that's more normal. I'm just not aware of it. But anyways, with 90 horsepower, now it definitely does not feel like a car that would be sold from the factory. It's just too fast for its size. You can get this thing up to 100 miles per hour. It does not feel safe at those speeds, but you can definitely get it up to those speeds. We got a nice long straightaway here as we go from one town in Italy to the other. I'm thinking we could definitely get it up to 100 might per hour in this area. Might be able to get up to 110 if there's a little bit of a downhill section. I don't know these roads too well, so we'll just have to see what we find. But we're already up to 94 miles per hour, 93 miles per hour in that range. And there's a nice straightaway area right here. Up to 100. That was surprisingly easy. I thought it would actually take a little bit more effort to get up to 100, but we had a big straightaway. And we're still accelerating up to 105. Just gotta maintain as much speed as I can through this corner. That's pretty good. We only lost about 5 miles per hour. Do you like the echo as we drive through there? Car doesn't sound great or anything, but it's just a cool effect when the car echoes. And actually, here is the town coming up, so we're gonna have to exit before we can get any higher than about 105. Although we don't have to slow down when we exit now, do we? 106, exiting now. Oh, that's not good. We've lost 2 wheels again. I'm having some bad luck recently where I just keep losing these wheels. So here's a look at the damage. And then we'll go ahead and reset this and continue driving this thing a little bit more. And when we actually go around the corners, you'll be able to see why this thing can be a little bit sketchy, I think. And this right here is exactly what I was talking about. I did not mean to kick the back end out right there. It's just there's so much weight behind the rear tires that when you brake hard enough and you lock up the brakes, the back end can kick out in front of you surprisingly easily. Gotta watch out for that. No, ooh, actually, you know what? I was gonna go around that ditch. We're gonna go in that ditch. Very careful. And then out of the ditch. And I think it did that without hitting any damage. And for a lowered version of the car, that's actually surprising. I thought it might bottom out and damage the suspension a little bit, but I think it's driving fine. It's hard to tell because I'm all over the place. Yeah. It is driving straight as can be. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and try to find something to crash this into. Just swing it around. There's a building. There goes another tire. Why do my tires keep falling off? You come back here. You're gonna go back on this axle whether you like it or not. Stop. You stay right there. I'm coming for you. I'm gonna grab the tire and we're gonna attach it back on. Check this out. So you're gonna just place it. Nope. You gotta reduce the strength right here so it's not in the way. You just attach it like right there. And it goes onto the car. And look at that. It doesn't exactly work, but eventually it'll roll into position usually. There it goes, rolling, rolling, rolling. Ah, there we go. We got a working tire. Except when we slowed down, it kind of fumbled it around. But every now and then, like right there, it looks like it's working. Sort of. I mean, it still looks terribly destroyed a lot of the time. But just for a few seconds, it'll roll like a normal tire would. And I'm too busy looking at the tire to pay attention to where I'm going, and I just crushed the roof of the car. I should point out, though, this thing does not have good handling right now. It's kind of messed up, so I should really just be replacing it. So how about we just smack into the wall, get some more damage on this thing. And I think it could still be driven if I wanted to. Yeah, you see it bouncing because of that tire, though. But that's probably going to be it. Yeah, the engine just turned off. That's a good excuse as any to swap it out. So now we're going to go with the 150 Corso Track, which is a factory-built race car with a roll cage and racing upgrades. So if we go to the performance here, this thing has 126 horsepower, which is apparently good for a 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds. That means this thing is almost as fast as those V6 Toyota Camrys. Makes it sound pretty slow, but 0 to 60 in 6 seconds is no joke. Those Toyota Camrys are also no joke. They are surprisingly fast. But some other changes. The suspension here is even more race focused. You can tell there's even less clearance on the wheels now, so the suspension's even stiffer. We got this cool change to the rear engine part, where I guess it's like it cools the engine by having it so wide open, and then it also gives it downforce by having what's basically a giant wing on it. So I thought that looked really cool on the vehicle. And then of course we have the nice racing paint job on it that has the Italian colors. We got the roll cage on it and only one seat in this one, so the interior has been stripped out even more than we've seen so far. It also has racing seats in it. These are not the regular seats. They're not even racing seats from that time period. That's the one thing that gets me. Like, I don't know what seats for race cars look like in the 1960s and such, but I don't feel like they look like that. I just kind of wish that'd be one nice thing to have, is just seats for racing from that time period. That's the only thing about this car that looks kind of funny to me. Otherwise, I love it. Especially if you look closely at the engine, you can see it has a real fancy engine setup back here. It even has independent throttle bodies on the engine. So we'll go ahead and drive this thing around. You can actually see the engine shift a little bit as we drove around. That was neat. But yeah, what I want to do is I want to get this thing up to a decent speed. Then we'll crash it and maybe do it again, because this thing can go pretty fast. Well, that's a dead end, so that's not going to work. Let's go back up here and try going the opposite direction. So instead of down the hill, we go up the hill. Hopefully that'll find us a good straightaway where we can get some speed. All right, this looks pretty promising. This is what I want. Oh, we're going to be going really fast here, probably up to almost 100 miles per hour if I can get it under control. All right, there we go. We're going to get up to about 90 miles per hour, but I want to try hitting the ditch. See what happens here. We're just flying over it. Oh, we're really flying now. Oh my goodness. Can we go onto the roof? Almost. We almost could get on the roof. I bet if we had just a little bit more speed, that could happen. That was an amazing flight, though. Do we have any drivability here? A little bit. We can get it like out of the alley so we can take a look at the damage before we reset it. Come on, just a little bit forward. There we go. So there is the damage, and that's kind of funny. When I steer, you can see the suspension bits moving right there. So here's the damage, and then here is the reset. And you know what? I really want to see, can we get onto that roof? So we're going to move to the street machine, which is modified for straight line speed with a turbocharger and nitrous oxide injection. So this one, it makes 214 horsepower. That's a ton. The funny thing is, though, it makes 214 horsepower, 0 to 60 is in 6.4 seconds. This one, which makes like half the power, is faster from 0 to 60. I guess it's just because this thing cannot get traction, so it just slides all over the place according to the game, and it's slower to 60 miles per hour, even though it has way more horsepower. So let's go ahead and spawn this thing up. And I like to think of this one as like a modified 150 Corso. So it has a bigger engine. Actually, it's a 1.5 liter engine. I think it's the same size physically, but they've just changed the stroke or the bore or something to make it have a larger capacity. And then you can see the turbo right there, basically hanging off the engine. And that is the exhaust straight off the turbo. I thought it was a real cool looking setup like that. It also has a different looking deck lid than we've seen before. So there's a few different options there for what you want the deck lid to look like. Now let's go ahead and try to get this thing going fast at that jump. Gotta get that nitrous on for max speed and respect the throttle. This thing is a death trap. If you floor it, you will slide. Go wait until you're going like 50 miles per hour and then you can floor it and you'll be okay. So I'm flooring it now, and we're gonna hit that jump as straight as I can. So this looks pretty good. Good hit on the jump. Can we get onto a roof? No, wait, maybe not quite. So maybe we need a different vehicle to do that. I'm not sure. We'll try one more shot with this one though, just to see if maybe it has a chance. I just gotta see if I can get a little bit more power out of it. It's hard though, because you gotta respect the throttle so it doesn't spin out on you like it just tried to right there, but also go as fast as you can in a predetermined distance. So I'm flooring it here. Should be able to go about 100 miles per hour when we hit it. There you go. It's definitely faster than the other car was going. It just depends how does it bounce. And unfortunately, it did not bounce off of it well. It smashed right into the roof. And this time we'll go ahead and take a look at the damage. I didn't last time, but the damage between this one and the last one should be pretty similar. We'll just get it onto its wheels and then look at that. It's actually rotating all on its own. I'm not doing that, so I don't have to do anything to look at it. You guys just look at it as I am right now. That's really funny. Unfortunately, though, it does not drive. It was worth a shot, though. So let's go ahead and reset it. And I want to just drive it around a little bit normally, because all we really did right there was a straightaway, which doesn't really show off how hard it can be to control it. So I'm going to do my best here just to keep it going. And right there, wow, look at that. I thought for sure we were going to hit the curb and somehow destroy the car, but we didn't. So I got to find some corners. Here's a corner. Go around that corner. It doesn't actually feel that sketchy when you're going faster, I've realized. When I'm going at over 50 miles per hour, it feels pretty good. When you're going under 50, that's when it gets really slidey. Like right now, it feels rock solid. Oh, no, it doesn't. We're flying and bouncing, and there is something to crash into. See what I mean? It is easy to lose control. You feel confident for a second, and then boom. Your car's on fire. Your doors have been flung open. Everything's gone terribly, terribly wrong. So there's one more look at the damage, and then we're going to go ahead and reset it, and then let's have some fun with this. What I want to do here is I want to turn right to go left. So here's what I mean. I want to go left up here. So we turn right, and we keep turning right, and we do a full rotation of the vehicle almost to go eventually to the left. Like right here, do you want to go left or right? We want to go left. So we go to the right, and we keep going to the right. And I'm just doing this to show you guys how easy it is to slide this thing. And I don't want to leave the town, so I'm going to actually do a quick 180 right here and go back the way we came, because I want to be in the town with all of the corners that we can mess around with. So get up to speed again, and then I want to go to the right, so we got to go to the left. And I overshot it just a little bit, but we can make up for it, because as long as we keep going left, it's okay. So through the bushes, onto the road, and then up here, how about we go to the left, so we go to the right. And I like this car for this because it fits well too. Not only does it slide really easily, it fits in the areas easily. And there is not a left corner there. It's only to the right. Whoops. I don't know this map that well. All right, this one it's left or right. So we're going to go to the left and do the nice little maneuver. And then we're going to immediately go to the right, which means we're actually going to the left. It's all so confusing, but I know I got to go the opposite of what I'm doing usually. But that's just kind of what's fun about this car, is you could do ridiculous stuff like that. It's a lot of fun doing that. So this will be the last one. Going right to go left. Oh no, we really slowed down there. I think actually, if we follow this road, we'll be back to where we started, which is kind of neat. And when we get there, we can just wreck this thing. Look at that, I'm sliding it without even really trying. It just wants to slide. Here's where we started. And then let's go ahead and wreck it. Wasn't that big of a hit, but that wheel is gone. Although it looks like it still wants to be attached. It's like, don't leave me. I'm coming back for you. Hold on, baby. There we go. We're together again. Unfortunately, accelerating ain't going to do nothing in this situation. So let's go ahead and replace this car. We're going to replace it with the 150 Corsa Rally. Now this one says it's factory built rally car with a roll cage and rally upgrades. You'll notice this has 90 horsepower. This had 126, and it does make a difference because 0 to 60 is 6.2 on this one, where this one is only 8.3. Although this really isn't the best environment for this car. The perfect environment for this car is a bumpy dirt road. This is a rally car. It's not like a super off-road. It's made for driving on rally courses. Now, unfortunately, I don't know this map that well, and I don't know where any roads like that are. So what we're going to do is just going to kind of drive through the dirt like I'm doing right here and see how well it does that. And maybe I'll find a road we could actually drive it on that it's well suited for. And oh no, don't go in the water. Don't go in the water. Woo! That was actually really lucky. I thought I was goner. I get over those rocks, and just like that, I found a road. It's like the map knew what I was looking for, and it somehow guided me there. Although it's a little bit difficult to do this right now because the car is pulling an annoying amount to the right. Like, I keep hitting almost to the left side because I'm trying to just keep it straight. I definitely want to try this again with a fully repaired car, I think, because this should be a lot of fun to do with a working vehicle. But I want to wreck this thing, and there's a wall. There's a car into a wall. Can it drive it all after that? Actually, I think it can. Probably doesn't pull any worse than it was before. Actually, really, let's see. It's about the same. It feels like it's about the same. That's funny. Oh, there's the end of the dirt road. That's not good. All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll go out to the start of this thing, and then we're going to get ourselves a brand new car. And now we get to have some fun doing some rallying with the rally version of the vehicle. I'm not going to try to do as fast as possible considering I don't actually know the course at all. So I'm going to go for flashy, like big slides like that on the tighter corners. It looks real flashy, but you can do that real safely, real easily without having to know how tight the corner is. That's what's fun about sliding on rally courses. Like, there's a corner here, how tight, don't know, but we're going to slide into it. And that was a little too fast, but that's okay because we slid into it, so we were able to adjust the speed mid-corner and came out of it perfectly fine. And this thing actually feels like it has a real nice amount of power for driving through here. Has enough to get up to 70 miles per hour, no problem, which is a good speed for this. It's fast enough where you're going to be having a lot of fun, but it's not like you're going 120 miles per hour on a dirt road And when you crash, you're gonna obliterate your car to bits. You could slam on the brakes and slow down a decent amount before you crash. And is this a jump? Oh, I think this is a jump. Oh, yeah! The suspension held up. The suspension held up. I was a little bit worried about that, to be honest with you. You got walls on both sides I had to look out for, and, well, that's the end of the road. That's funny. It looks like somebody else plowed through that, and I thought that was the road. It wasn't. And now we're just going for a little bit of a tumble. You know, actually, now that I'm looking at the design of this car a little bit closer, one thing that I didn't really notice until now is the paint job really reminds me of the Porsche 959 rally car. Like, I know they both have the white and the blue, and then they have like that goldish stripe on them. It's probably not the same, I'm sure, but just looking at it, it made my brain go, Porsche 959. And I'm like, why? And then I remembered, oh yeah, there's a Rally 959. Anyways, I'm changing maps, so I want to go to Utah, USA. We're going to be trying out the final version of the vehicle, which is the Baja. So this one has the same engine that we had in the 150 Corso Rally. The difference is it's been extensively modified for off-road use with a dual-carb 1500cc engine. Okay, that's not the difference. I'll show you the difference. First off is the suspension on this one is no joke. This thing has a serious overhaul in the suspension to give it so much ground clearance. And then the back end is just completely different. Like, it's been chopped to bits and the engine's been caged in. So you can really see the engine and work on it super easily. I thought that was pretty cool. And then also the exhaust on this thing. It has a little flapper on it. It's adorable, and it actually stays open when you rev it harder versus when it's kind of at idle and the flapper closes and stuff. Like, you see how it relates? At idling, it bounces. You rev it high, it holds open. When the car's down revving, it slams shut. That, to me, is really awesome. Now, in addition to that, the fenders have been chopped up, too, to make it a little bit easier to fit those bigger tires on it. And then, of course, the deck lid is going to be different since half of the deck lid is missing. And by the way, that's what this is, I think. I'm not really good with the terminology here, but I think those are called deck lids when I've been saying deck lid, if you don't know what that is. This one also has the roof rack on it with the spare tire, which means I guess there's no more spare tire in the front, or does it have two spare tires? Let's see. No, the spare tire in the front is gone, but the mount is still there. So if you wanted to, you could totally have two spare tires on this thing. And also, there is the gas tank for this thing. So if you're filling up the gas on this car, and this is on all the versions, what you would basically do is you open up the hood, and then you would have that thing open, and then you could access the fill cap on that tank. Because the only way I see it fill it is through that. There's no like hole in the hood itself. Now, we got this big ol' off-roader. Let's do some big ol' off-roading. We don't even need to follow the roads. We're just going for it. I do have to make sure I don't hit any rocks, but bumpy terrain, this thing shouldn't have much problem with. Like going through here right now, this thing feels like it's doing an excellent job. That looks maybe a little too rocky. Like those rocks are going to flip me over, but we're going to try it anyways. And yes, they did flip me over. Thankfully, my engine is caged in. My suspension is beefy. We have a roll cage. We're going to be all right, I think. Let's see. Is it still driving pretty straight? Pretty straight. A little bit of a pull to the left. Maybe a medium pull to the left even, but we're good. Drive through here. Very controllable still. I don't really want to be driving on the roads like this, though, because that felt more like what the rally one was made to do. This one is made to be on the not roads. So let's make a route. We're going to just say this is where I'm going. Yep, this is going to work. I'm not going to hit any rocks. Fingers crossed. All right, go up this road just a little bit, I think. Trying to figure out where the best area would be for this thing, actually. Yeah, I think up higher we have better terrain. Down here, kind of all just the rally roads. Come on, car. Use your power. All 90 of them. Them horses. Go, go, go. There we go. Definitely can struggle on a hill. All right, this is the kind of area I was thinking of. I'm just going to drive through here and see what happens to it. Although, let's go ahead and get it where it's not pulling to the left because it's getting annoying to me. I want to just go in a straight line for a little bit because I don't want to accidentally hit any rocks. Like right there. Rocks on left and right side. Gotta make sure I'm going between them. Rocks on left and right side. Going between them. Now when I got close to the right side, though. Yeah, it's doing a great job here. This terrain feels like it was made for this car. Oh, little bumpy. We're good. We're good. Although I did lose a headlight somewhere. It's a minor injury. It's like a scratch. I am fine. I don't think it's even pulling to the side or anything, so we're good to go. All right, here's a big bump, maybe. Nope, not as big as I thought it would be. Here's a big one. Oh, that's too big. Oh, we're upside down, but we're going to be right side up. Come on, I believe. Gotta believe. Uh-oh, we're gonna drown the engine though. I knew that was coming. Let's just go ahead and get it out of here. One more try. That's the laziest way, by the way, to get the car out of the water. You just keep resetting it wherever it is and keep flooring it, flooring it, flooring it. Eventually, it will get through the water. And although, again, this is not the terrain I wanted to be on, now we have enough speed to go through the water without it drowning, hopefully. Come on. Oh, the rear engine got me. Because everything else is dry but the engine. All right, can we climb this hill right here? That actually might be a little bit of a trouble for this thing. Gotta give it lots of speed. And yeah, it can, but it flips over in the process. And it really does look like a turtle right here, and it's upside down, don't it? It's not going to get back onto its wheels on its own. Once again, we're resetting it, and then we are off. Driving on the roads, feels fine. It doesn't feel like it's going to tip over anything. In fact, it feels pretty well grounded here. Like, the weight moves back and forth between the tires, but the car is light enough, I guess, where it doesn't feel like it's going to tip over from the weight shifting about like some off-roaders. It actually feels really surprisingly good on the paved roads. I did not expect that. But it does feel best here on the dirt, where you can just floor it, go 60 miles per hour as you bounce along. That's its home. Okay, well, maybe not 60 miles per hour because it slows down as it bounces. We can get through it. That's what's important. We can get through it and have a good time doing it, even if we're not going super fast. So anyways, I think that's going to do it for the pickle. Till next time, this has been WhyBeAre. Remember, if you like or dislike this video, I'll know. Like, I get an email every day when somebody doesn't like or dislike this video. That's a lot of emails, but I read through them like, why would you not like this video? So I know this stuff. So do the right thing, and I'll see you next time.